today. It's good to be with these mystical people, crazy people, happy people, full of life. And I think the central theme today is awakening. So I'm going to start this process because if you say you are awakened, it means you were once asleep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start with you, Carlton. What is the difference between being asleep and being awake? At least in your experience, what made you to sleep in the past and what made you to be awakened, and what difference are you experiencing between your sleeping time and your awakened time?
Great question.
Yeah.
The Greek word for sleep is hypnos, where we get the word hypnotic. And most of us, certainly I speak for myself, I've been hypnotized for about 50 years. A hypnotist actually lures you to sleep and then gives the power of suggestion, makes you do things. Religion hypnotized me and really the planet. We're all as a human species hypnotized, lulled into sleep, and then through the power of suggestion, we become clones and sometimes clowns in our lives. So our awakening means that we have come back to our consciousness. We're no longer under hypnotic strain or control of any other entity. We're now finding our own divinity, and that is being born again. And I mean, after 67 years of living on the planet, I'm born again, and I feel very, very new, very, very fresh, very, very unloaded.
Is it possible to sleep again?
It is. In some years from now, probably all that we're talking about will have been religionized, and we will have a bunch of clones and clowns that thought we were wonderful at one time.
So awakening, therefore, it's ongoing.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Fantastic.
It's part of the evolution.
Apparently, you are also awake now. Apparently, I heard you say you are awake.
I don't know what it means to be awake.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means to be asleep.
What do you know?
I don't know what it means to be conscious.
Yes.
I don't know what it means to be unconscious. For many people, especially my family,
Yes.
listening to me now, and they say, Muzi is not conscious. Because a few moments ago, this guy was crazy. Now, when I'm crazy, that's where I'm conscious. And when I'm normal, I'm crazy. Understand?
Yeah.
When I'm normal, and I look at people who are normal, and I say, what crazy people? And when I'm crazy, or when I've got into what I call the super conscious, I look at everybody else, and I say, I wish they could get into this level that I am. I wish people can see what I see.
What do you see?
And it's very difficult to tell you what I see, but I think it's much easier to say what I experience.
What is that?
I experience something that cannot be explained, or something that is unfathomable, ineffable, and I don't have words for it. So the only word that I know is God. So I said, now I'm experiencing God. Now, even now, people ask me, who is God? I say, God is a space between me and these two ladies. Between me and them, there is God.
Yeah.
Between you and him, there is God. Between any two people, God is there.
Okay.
So we cannot only say God is the space between two people. Where two or three are gathered, God is there. But where there is any space, God is there.
Yeah.
Between your words, God is there. Between the words, between all the spaces that you see,
Yeah.
God is there.
We'll come back to that point again. Jackson,
Yeah.
it looks like in this team there's a shift from fundamentalism.
Yes.
The question I want to ask is, can the awakened ones also themselves become fundamentalists? For example, you talk about inclusion, Carlton, but is it possible also that those who talk inclusion can actually become very exclusive, excluding those who are against inclusion? So talk to me about this shift from fundamentalism, but also warning us about the possibility of the awakened also become very fundamental.
Thank you very much. You know, whether people believe or they don't, my experience has been people are always fundamentalistic. If we understand what fundamentalism is. So, the issue of awakening also differs from one to another person. For me, to be awakened, it happened to me when I came to Christ. So whenever in Christ, I try to speak about my beliefs, if you look at churches, it is when they start becoming dogmatic about what they call awakening. Then they start looking at others and say, so and so is not awakened. So they start excluding other people. But the truth is, we are all experiencing the same reality inside. The issue is that we must always watch, the issue of watching, as to whether what we claim to be experiencing, is it not now becoming fundamentalistic? Especially when you start pushing people as if they have to become what you are experiencing. But if you are experiencing something and you share it, it becomes good news to those you are hearing. But if it's forceful or then it loses the real meaning of why were you awakened in the first
But
place.
sleeping is not all bad. I mean, sleeping is normal. You go to sleep, that's what makes awakening. So we don't want to make sleeping negative.
That's right. Yeah.
Just have to wake up every morning.
Yeah, talking of good news. Gina, you woke up with some good news this morning.
Yes.
Talk to us about that good news.
I was recognizing for myself
Yeah.
that the universe rotates on its axis in participation of one thing. And that was my awakening
Oh, beautiful.
to the greater expression of who I am in the world. And it's available to anyone. We don't have, it's not ours to give you. It's for everyone to experience. And it takes a hunger. You have to want it more than you know it. And it's yours.
Before Stephanie, Muzi looks too excited about what you have just said.
Yeah, no, actually.
Briefly, what is your excitement about with this universe rotating on its axis?
Yeah, the universe was rotating before she spoke, and I was excited about what Bishop Jackson said just now.
Yeah.
About fundamentalism.
Yeah.
That is very easy to become a fundamentalist.
Yeah.
It's very easy to point a finger and say, these people, they are fundamentalists, they want us to do these things. So it's easy for you to say, hey, like for instance, when you get into that level of the superconscious, you ask yourself, hey, don't you see what I see? Why don't you see what I see? Why don't you see what I do? You see what I see? Like for instance, today I think I was with all of them. When the superconscious takes over, you look at people, you say, do you see what I see? And that is the now moment. I think that that moment it becomes very strong.
Yeah.
It's a visitation, and it goes back. And sometimes when it goes back, then people say, oh, he's normal now. And it was crazy. This craziness came, but it's back to normal. But there was a statement when I awakened in 2007. I don't know how I got to make that statement. I said, do you not believe what I believe? And do you not believe what I believe? And for me, it was something, because at that time, I realized people are not ready for what is happening. And maybe, and I heard this voice say to me, don't make them believe what you believe. Don't get people to see the things that you see.
Yeah.
It's many, and I understand now they say in the universe, only 2% or less than 2% or less than 1% of people in our universe live in the superconscious. And that takes me back to Moses. You remember where in the scriptures where Moses says you cannot see God and live. And sometimes when you get there, you say, oh, I don't think it's possible for people to live in the superconscious all the time. And then nothing normal will happen. And that's why sometimes when I meet the superconscious, I say, hey, I wonder if everybody can be crazy like me. What kind of a world we're going to live in?
Stephanie, your observation of the conversation so far. What's your take on what is being discussed now? I know you've got your own thoughts, but I would like you,
Sum up.
in terms of what we have discussed so far. What is the central message?
I think the theme here is let's be awakened to the awakening. let's be consciously aware how to live, be in the world but not of it. How to be in the world but not of it. In other words, how to be in the awakened state and sharing that and being the role model, being the example of that, and include everybody in that in a way that is loving. In a way that for me, I didn't hear this yet, but in a way that's loving. So I can't include you if you don't feel loved by me.
Yeah.
I can't include you. Yeah. If you don't, I had a boss who used a great phrase. I don't care what you know until I know that you care. Yeah. I don't care what you know until I know that you care. Yeah.
Incidentally, we are having this discussion here in Singapore, which is actually Singapura, which comes from the Malay language. Simha means lion, and Pura means city or town. So this is basically called the city of the lion. But apparently, no lions ever lived here. The one who spotted what he thought was a lion was actually a tiger. Which therefore means that it is possible to spot something and think it is something else.
Right.
And you live in that lie.
Illusion.
How do you know that you guys are actually awakened? How do you know that you are actually right, if there is anything right about this awakened state of yours as opposed to your sleeping state? What if you are actually asleep now?
I think
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Because you see, Singapore, Simhapura, is continuing to be called Singapore,
Right.
the city of the lion, even though it was actually an error, it was a mistake. What they thought was a lion, it was actually a tiger. So I want to bring that metaphor into this discussion.
Perception is the ultimate reality,
Yeah?
but not necessarily the ultimate truth. The Pacific Ocean is called Pacific Ocean because was Cabrillo, whoever came across it, had a peaceful trip. It's actually the worst and the stormiest of the seven seas, but his experience of it was peaceful. So named Pacifica in Latin. But actually, and many people have died on the seas because of the terrible storm. So again, how you perceive life becomes your reality, and it evolves.
Yeah.
So
So
we
you can
awaken.
create your own environment.
Yes.
Regardless of where you are, you can call it whatever you
It
call
can be
it.
an illusion.
Yeah.
Or a delusion.
So let us talk blessing, therefore, to one another from now for the next few minutes. Let's get into that space where we want to create the universe we want to see, the happiness we want to experience. Can we talk about that? How can the world get better? Because where we come from, Muzi, you know, South Africa, whilst we're experiencing the peace and the love in Phuket and Pattaya, when you think back home, when you read the news, it's robbery, it's that and that and that.
Yeah.
Why is it so that these, in the same world, can have one part where it's very chaotic and another part
I'd like to-
being very peaceful?
Can I address that?
Yeah, please.
Great. So for me, being awakened means that I choose where I put my attention. And where my attention goes, energy flows. So as a creator in this universe, if I'm focusing my attention on what's working, I experience more of that. If I'm focusing my attention on death, destruction, crime and violence, I experience more of that. So we can see in South Africa, there's a lot of media attention on what's not working, and we multiply that. So what I put my attention on will multiply. So my awakening to me means that I'm consciously putting my attention where I want to put it, and no one tells me where to put it. And I don't put my attention on stuff that I've been taught to put my attention on. Like a simple thing, don't go out with wet hair, you'll catch a cold. It's a lie. But if I want to believe that, I'm trapped and I'm not awakened. If I'm living in that old conditioned response to life, there's no hope. Choice can only come with awareness. And my awakening means that I'm aware of what I'm choosing, and I'm choosing to choose where I put my attention.
Gina, awakening and happiness, awakening and peace, awakening and joy. Talk to us about that
Yeah,
briefly.
you know, before this moment for me, I operated in a very low vibration. Mentally, my thoughts were always, as Stephanie said, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with the situation? What's wrong was my default. And when I tapped an awareness that nothing is wrong, it's all perfect. When I was willing to allow the perfection of the moment. It is what it is, unfolding as it is,
Yeah.
and it's perfect.
Yeah.
Carlton,
I think we
are you
are
happy right now?
happy. Is
Or peaceful? How would you describe your state right now? Your inner. What are you happy? Are you,
I'm wrestling, and I think we all are wrestling between infinity
Yeah.
and finiteness,
Yeah.
finishing. We are survivalists by nature as humans. We all know that we are infinite, but we don't believe it. So we're always trying to stay infinite and survive life, threatened by the weather, threatened by the culture, threatened by politics. So if we could embrace our knowingness and diminish our beliefs, I think our peace would be more prevalent. So I'm wrestling at my age with what I know in my soul, what I know in my cells, and what I believe in my mind, and they don't always agree.
So you want to know more than believing.
Yes, I want to get more into knowledge, which
Yeah.
is awareness, consciousness,
Yeah.
than belief.
Yeah.
Because my life has been dominated by belief, my religious belief, my belief about my family, my culture, what seems natural and normal. So I'm transcending that and embracing this other ethereal, esoteric reality that is more infinite rather than finishable.
Muzi, can you reveal you to me now?
Yeah.
Let me feel you. Can I experience you? Can I?
Yeah, actually, I had a. I don't know which words to use. You know, there was a philosopher in the 20th century, Ludwig Wittgenstein. He says the only game that can be played by human beings is a language game. Animals cannot play a language game the
Right.
way we can play it.
Right.
So everything that we are doing as human beings, we are playing a game, a language game. I can play this language game with atheists. When atheists say, no, we don't believe in God. I said, I also don't believe in the God you don't believe in.
Yeah.
I've rejected God. Hey man, I've rejected the God that you rejected. It's a language game that we are playing.
True.
So everything that we are doing, even now, we are playing a language game. And only human beings can participate in this game. And human beings make a very, very small portion of what is there, of life in the universe. Our life, we don't know how insignificant we are to the whole, we are just a speck to the whole thing. But now, there's one thing that I said in my another awakening again this morning. So that's why I see sometimes it's not the thing that I do that must concern you. It is the thing that I say. People say, what is he doing now? He's getting crazy again. What is happening to him? Don't concern yourself with what is happening to me. Concern yourself with what I am saying. The things that I say. You see, they're very important because this morning I had this you're asking me, I must tell you about myself.
That's right. Yes.
The me that is here now
That's right. Right now,
does not think.
you are not thinking.
I don't think. And when I don't think, I'm happy.
Yeah.
When I don't think, I'm peaceful. When I don't think, I've reached that divine space.
I like that.
When I think,
Yes.
therefore pain, suffering,
That's right.
and all
Yeah.
kinds of problems are there.
Yes.
I think, therefore I'm sick.
Yeah.
I think, therefore I'm frustrated. I think,
Yeah.
therefore I worry. I
Okay.
think, therefore I get sick.
Okay,
I
don't
think,
make us
therefore I
think now.
have high blood.
All right, don't make us
But
think now.
then I say to you, I do not, then my response to you,
Yeah.
I say you think,
Yeah.
therefore maybe I can use the word, I think, you think, therefore you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Then I say, I don't think,
Yeah.
therefore I am. I don't think, therefore I'm peaceful. I don't think, therefore I'm happy. I don't think, therefore I'm content. Once I think,
Yeah.
then all the hell
Once you
breaks.
think, you stink.
Yeah, once I think, I stink.
But there's also creative thinking.
Yeah.
So you think very creatively when you're in that superconscious space.
Definitely.
So when you're talking about thinking, you're talking about the mental madness of beliefs based on fear.
Basically, when I talk about thinking, I'm talking about the past. When people
Yeah.
think, they think about the past or the future. The
Yeah.
past or the future.
That's
The
it.
past or the future.
And they miss out on the
Yeah, and you miss out on the now. You can never be in the now and be
Yeah.
peaceful.
Yeah.
You can never be present in the moment and feel pain. If I can ask you, all of you, right now in this moment, are there any problems now?
No. No.
Just get into the now.
Yeah.
Are there any problems now?
There are no problems.
There are problems when you go into the future,
And-
go into the past.
Yeah.
Why did they do this to me?
Yep.
How can they do such a? How they call themselves Christians? You know, I thought they were awakened. Look at what they've done to me now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, many times, hey Muzi, we thought you were awakened. Look at what you've done to us.
Yeah.
So he is in the past. Because what I did is in the past,
Yeah.
not in the present moment.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I can do to you in this
And
present
he's
moment.
worried about what you may do
In the future.
Yeah. Okay.
What I do to you is either in the past or the future, or I may do in the future, but never in the now.
You're never doing anything to
Yeah.
me, Muzi. You're doing what you're doing, and I'm making it up that you're doing something to me.
What's making up
Yeah.
is the thought.
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, it's only
That's
the
right.
thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jackson, can you reveal you to us?
What do you mean?
Are you happy? What state are you at right now?
I'm in the state of Christ consciousness. Fortunately with me, I'm not controlled or moved by what other people say. I'm moved by what I say.
Yeah.
So when you talk language, I listen to people. And some of the things they say is none of my business.
Yeah.
So when you ask me, I will tell you my
Yeah, that's what I want
I'm
to hear.
happy.
Yeah.
I'm
Just before he continues, when he came here to the hotel,
Yeah.
I told him what Tulani said. He says, hey, I asked him, did you hear what Tulani says? Tulani says somebody must come and sit down. And Jackson says to me, you know, I was thinking when I read that, what Tulani says, Muzi must come and sit down. I said, no. I've been burning in your presence. They must see what happens when I'm in your presence. They must also burn.
Good. So conclude that thought, and then after you, Carlton, we're going to round off this part of the discussion. We're going to have a short break. When we come back, we're going to do some more intent. Yeah, but just your thought.
For me, when I'm not happy,
Yeah.
it's my own choice of trying to live on the outer. So when you live in the inner, which I call Christ,
Yeah.
that is where I get everything I need. To me, it has nothing to do with
Yeah.
anything. That is my experience. I experienced Christ 40 years ago. It has been an awakening after an awakening.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do get out and entangle myself with the
Yeah.
affairs of life.
Yeah.
So that is where you get into trouble. You ask a question as to how do we bring peace
That's right.
where there is no peace. Throughout the history of mankind, there are ancient truths that people have lived with. Because they apply those truths, they live in peace. I can give you an example.
Yeah.
In Africa, we have got what we call Ubuntu. I am because you are. If you move out of that, you will get into trouble. But if you stay there, that I am because you are, I can't hurt you, because if I hurt you, I hurt myself. So it is the principle you live by that will bring peace and happiness
That's
to
right,
yourself.
yes.
It's not outside you, it's inside.
Like they say, the principle you live by shapes the world you live in. May you round off this first part of the discussion, and we'll have a short break.
I'll say it this way. I don't know that I'm happy. I know that I'm happening. And I'm existing. And I am not happy when I don't feel like I'm happening. So it's like when I'm eating and I'm hungry, I'm feeding the hunger. In a few minutes, I don't want the food anymore. It's not that I don't need it, but I'm full. A few minutes later, or hours, I need to eat again. Same with the elimination of bodily fluids. So I think it's a constant give and take, up and down. But as long as you're existing and happening and functioning, not dysfunctioning, but functioning, we're okay. Otherwise, it's an illusion.
Yeah.
On that note, let's have a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with our exciting conversation of our
Wunderbar. Wunderbar.